Okay, so we are going to start.
Okay.
So today is the 27th of March, 2018, and we are with
Francelyn Lurie.
Francelyn Lurie. And we're here to talk about your mother, correct?
Correct.
Her full name?
Paulette Fink.
Where was she born?
In Alsace.
Alsace-Lorraine?
Yes.
Like that, the region?
Yeah.
When was she born?
1911.
1911. Okay. What can you
I
tell
hope
me about?
I hope that's right. I hope that's right.
What can you tell me about her? What can you tell me about her background, her upbringing, her family?
Okay. Her parents, Blanche Salomon Veil, and her father, Jean Veil Delocourt. Delocourt means the town of Delocourt, and he was the mayor there for a while. Then this was in.
See, now it's mine. Yeah. Sorry about that.
My grandfather.
I just need you to look at me.
Yes.
Please. Okay.
It's hard. My grandfather was a spy for France against the Germans in World War I. So they moved to Paris right after World War I, and they had 3 children. My mother, Paulette, brother Pierre, and sister Jacqueline. And my grandfather opened up a Bata shoes factory.
Bata?
Yeah.
From Czechoslovakia.
Yes, very good. I think they're in Israel. They're all over the place, more or less. And he did very well. My grandmother was a mother, homemaker, didn't work outside the house or anything. And they lived at Rue de la Faisanderie in Paris for many, many years, which is the only residence I knew after I was born. I don't know anything about their education.
Are they religious? Are they secular? Are they religious at home? Secular? Like, what's?
I think there was a religion in my grandfather's family, but not my grandmother.
Okay.
Because I knew nothing about being Jewish the whole time I was living with them.
With your grandparents?
Yeah. I had another set of grandparents who were my father's mother and father. And the grandmother was very religious, ultra religious. And grandpapa, who was a doctor, not so much. What else?
Tell me about your mother.
Where do I start? Okay, so she was born, I believe she was born in Alsace. Yes, because the other 2 were born in Paris. She went through school in Paris, primary school, high school, which is not what it's called there, university. She was a typical Jewish young woman, went to temple, liked the boys, loved to cook. She was very distinguished looking. She loved to dress beautifully. As a matter of fact, when she came to America, she became the epitome of the French woman. I think that her life, her young life, is pretty uneventful. I don't know that they traveled a lot. I don't know.
But she grows up in a quite comfortable family, socially, economically.
Very, very.
So I would say that when the Nazis, when the Nazis invade France in May of 40, she's already 30,
She's already married and had me.
She's already married and had you.
I was born in 39.
You were born in 39.
So we were still in Paris because I was born in Paris.
Who did she marry?
She married,
Your father? Of course.
yes, Yves, Y-V-E-S, Yves Opère.
Jewish?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he was the son, of course, of this grandfather that I said was quite religious, who was a doctor. He was very charismatic person. Everybody loved him. Unfortunately, he had a very short life.
Your father?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, he, a couple things. When things started to, when the Germans came into Paris, he was in charge of a place called Monoprix. Monoprix is like a 5 or 10 cent store. And the attic was full of leftover fabrics for making clothes and shoes and all kinds of stuff. And there were people in the streets who had no place to live or to eat or to get dressed or nothing because their house were bombed already. So he decided to take all that stuff from these storage in the attic, and he stuck it all outside, and he told all the people to come and help themselves. And the Germans didn't like that, so they put him in jail. And my mother went, you could tell the beginning of her life, she went to the police or to the Germans, and she said, you have to bring back my husband. He's got things to do. Well, anyway, he did escape from them that time. Then, because my grandfather, my mother's father, had been a spy in World War I, they knew that the Germans came in to invade, they would be looking for him. I mean, they're not going to go search house to house, but if they knew where he was, they would come looking for him. So my grandmother and grandfather decided to go to America, to leave quickly. And my aunt, who's now just had a 99th birthday, God bless her, she took them to Spain, and from Spain they went to Casablanca, where my aunt and her husband stayed for the rest of the war. And my grandfather kind of helped her out and stuff, and then they took a ship to New York. And you had to have a visa.
Yes, yes.
Right? And the ship delayed, and when they got there, they wouldn't let them in because it was the visa that they had was expired. So they took him to Ellis Island, and I smile when I say that because my grandmother was not a princess but a queen. I picture them sitting at Ellis Island with thousands of people waiting.
With your aunt?
No, she went back to Casablanca.
Okay. Now, I want to get back to your mother.
Yeah.
So your mother and father have you, the war has just started in France. Your father's arrested. He runs away.
Yeah, okay. So this is really involved, it's kind of complicated. He is now in the resistance. He's in the French resistance.
Your father?
Yeah. And he became the head of the French resistance in the Alps because he was an expert mountain climber. So they put him over there to help people get out and over the mountains and whatnot. And
to Switzerland?
Huh?
To Switzerland?
Yes. And so he did that for quite a long time. And my mother, during that time, let's see, they had left Paris. My grandparents, they closed their apartment, they left. My mother went south to Avignon. And I had a sister. My sister was born in 35. Okay, so she was born before me, and I was born in 39. So we went. The only reason I know a lot about this and what it looks like and everything is because my mother was a camera freak. She took thousands of pictures, and I keep saying, where did she get well, the camera, I can understand that she had the camera. Where did she get the film during the war? Where did she have these things developed? Because you know they were there. You could tell the pictures are developed there. It's just amazing to me, but I'm so lucky to have all these records of them. Otherwise, I might not know about all these people. So she took my sister and I, Eve.
To Vichy.
Yeah, to Vichy. Thank you. Very good. To Vichy. And my father had a brother, Georges, who was a doctor, and Jacqueline, a much younger stepsister, and there's another child. There were 4 of them. I'm not thinking straight. But those of us who were not involved in any of this went down to Vichy, to a place called Izot. You'll never find on the map. My mother was a very gutsy woman. Nothing bothered her to do. She's, everybody would say, no, don't go there. She said, I'm going. That's what she was like. And she went to this house and rang the door, knocked on the door, and the people came out, and they were just leaving town. They were leaving. And my mother says, well, can we move into your house? And I don't know what discussions they had. I don't know if many money payments was given. They said, sure, just take good care of the house. So here we were in Izot, maybe the whole family, many in the family were in this place. How they got the message to the rest of the family to come here, to me is just, I just don't understand it. But that's where we were. And I have many pictures of myself and the family in Izot. And what we did, I think my mother probably was working for or with my father in some ways in the resistance. She never talked about that part of the story, but I'm sure she did. So there were maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 people living in this house. And how did we eat? I don't know. There were no stores. There was nothing. Half the town had disappeared except for the mayor. Mayor stuck around. Well,
Your father's on the Alps and he's back and forth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and?
So, in order to get food, my mother had to go begging to people who had farms, and they barely had enough food for themselves. And so they would give her a carrot or an apple or whatever they had, they would give her. And then the Germans would do, what do you call it, when they would give advance notice that they were coming through a village or a town to get the men who were still around, to get them into the German army and ship them back to Germany. So when Raft, I can't remember what the name of the word is to tell people. Anyway, they would come to my mother at the house and say, you better leave.
Because the Germans are coming.
The Germans are coming. So you can imagine 19, 20 people leaving the house. Where do you go that you don't look like a parade, So we went, and I remember parts of this. We went to the forest, because the Germans never went into the forest because the resistance was there, and there's no way, they traveled in their tanks and their jeeps and whatnot. And we would stay there. I don't know how we ate, maybe just, whatever grew on the trees or whatever. And then when they left, this is the amazing part of the story. The mayor would come to the forest and say, it's safe for you to come back. And he never gave us away, never. I just hope there's a plaque for him someplace in this world, because it's just...
What was his name? You don't know. And the name of the city? The town?
Izot.
I want to focus you on your mother.
I know.
We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, and we need to preserve her story.
Yeah.
Your mother joins the partisans?
Where'd you hear that?
What's that?
Where did you hear that?
From Tamar.
From Tamar.
Yeah.
Well, the partisan, isn't that the resistance?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
resistance. Well, I wouldn't say that she joined them, but
partisan is more what they use in Eastern Europe. Resistance is what they use in France, but it's very much the same
Okay,
thing. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think she might have done some things, but I think all that went on now in this part of her story. All of this set her up to do what she finally did with her life.
And that is?
Well, to go around the world and speak about the creation of Israel and to raise funds.
Was she in Israel when it was created? Was she
yes,
there?
Yes.
What was she doing there?
She was with her friends. I don't know, Golda or whoever. I don't know what she was doing there, but everybody knew her.
Was she affiliated with the labor movement in Israel?
No.
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 Was she affiliated with the Vitza?
Weezo? No.
No. With Naamat?
No.
Naamat is the woman's...
No.
So, how does she get there? Does she bring you with you? Or?
No.
No.
When we were in Izo, okay, so at the end of the war, there were thousands of homeless children.
Refugees,
but yes. Mostly children. So she opened up 3 orphanages outside of Paris and took in all the children, all those children, right? No food, no beds, nothing. So she went to the UJA or whoever was created then. It wasn't UJA, but something, right? I know what it's called.
World Zionist
There's something, yeah, something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. And she says, look, I've got all these homes, I've got all these children, and I've got no food, they don't have any clothes, nothing. You told me to go here, now I'm here, and I opened them up, and what are you going to do about it? And he says to her, what are you going to do about it? And she said, well, I don't know. He says, well, why don't you go to America and get the stuff for them? Because nobody else has anything here.
Who said that to her? The head of the Jewish organization?
Yes,
there.
right.
Okay,
right.
So what did your mother do?
She went to America. And she was gone, she was supposed to be gone for 2 months, and she took my sister with her. And she was, I think, okay, so my grandparents had now moved to New York, right? So he became her secretary. And he's the one who sent all her mailings to everywhere in the country or where she could come and speak.
He became her secretary?
Yes.
Your grandfather?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so before she went to New York, your grandfather was preparing for her who to go to, who to ask money for. He was prepping her up.
That's right. Gotcha. That's right. And he also lived in an apartment that we took over when we came, and he went back. But
your mother doesn't take you to New York?
No. So she leaves me, she takes my sister Nadine, okay? Because
who's older than you?
Yeah, nobody would have taken care of her. She was a really difficult child. Okay. So once my mother gets to America, it is nonstop for, okay, so I said she was leaving for 2 months to do this work. And she went all over the country and made priceless connections for the future of UJA, because she only met wealthy people, wealthy Jews. They're the ones who were to help her and get the food back and all that kind of stuff. But her job at this point was minute compared to the job that it became in creating the state of Israel and to get the money for it. It took millions and millions of dollars.
So it just kind of snowballed.
Yes, and it was all her.
And she all of a sudden became a fundraiser for Israel?
A professional fundraiser. She was their speaker, and she became a professional. Before, she was volunteering.
But who is she speaking for? What group?
Anybody, church, not churches, but Jewish schools, synagogues.
And she's never been to Palestine. At this time, it's Palestine.
Right. No, never been there. But she didn't care. She knew exactly what she was doing, and country clubs and all these places.
So she ends up spending how much time in the States?
2 years, and I was back there. Anyway.
Did you go and join her?
No. I was living with my grandparents.
With your grandparents?
Yes, the whole time. And I was going to school down the road to a place called Courat Mer. And
did you understand what your mother was doing, or you had no idea?
Who?
Did you understand at that age what your mother was doing?
What who was doing?
Your mother.
I thought my mother died. That's why I'm telling you who. I didn't know she existed. I was just like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old.
When she was in the States?
Right. okay? So I'm at school, and French...
So you don't know about her?
No. I know about her when we were down in the south of France,
Yeah.
in Iseult,
Yeah.
of course. But then she said she's leaving for 2 months, and she doesn't come back for 2 years. A child, after 2 years, you don't know who the heck you, right? So I'm at school. I come home I go back to my grandparents for lunch, like all children do. Then you go walk back to school, back and forth, and I eat my lunch quickly, and I run out the door, and I go to school, come back. This is like a daily occurrence. And my grandparents couldn't have been more wonderful. I mean, just wonderful. And they always had, guests for lunch, so I could meet people and stuff like that. And so I'm home from school, and the doorbell rings, and I run to the door and open the door, and I run back to my place to sit down for lunch. And this person comes in and sits down, and I'm crying, I have to school, I have to go back to school. This woman looks at me and says, "Don't you know me?" I said, "I've never seen you in my life." I was really rude. I mean, those days I had no manners. My grandparents were quite aged, aged at that time. And how did they have time for a child like that?
Of course.
So she said, "You don't recognize me?" And I said, "No, I've never seen you." And I kept on eating. She says, "I'm your mother." I said, "You are not. My mother died during the war." She says, "No, I'm your mother." And I said, "Okay, fine." So I leave, go back to school. Come back, and she's still there. So we share a bedroom, and during the night I woke her up, and I said, "Are you really my mother?" She says, "Yeah, I'm really your mother, and I'm taking you back to America tomorrow." "What's America?" She says, "That's where I live now." So we left the next day for America, and stayed there ever since. And America at that point was the apartment in New York. And I went to the Lycée Français on Fifth Avenue there.
What district were you guys living in New York?
District.
Like Brooklyn, Manhattan?
Oh, Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
What borough, excuse me?
What?
What borough?
What borough? No, Manhattan, yeah. It was a block off of Riverside Drive, like the Hudson River was right behind there.
So your mother, so this is what, 1940?
Okay, 1939, 49.
47?
Yeah, 47, 48, yeah. No, not 48 yet.
Not
no,
yet.
No.
Do you remember where you are when the United Nations declares the partition?
It means nothing to me.
I understand.
Okay.
But it's just a question I'm asking.
Yes, no, I understand that too. Since it doesn't mean anything to me,
You don't remember?
right, I don't remember.
And what about the Declaration of Independence, when Israel declares itself
Yes,
independent? You
yes,
understand?
yes.
You're,
Yes.
Are you with your mother? Are you?
Yes, yes.
And what is she?
And what is she thinking?
Yeah.
She probably was in Israel at the time, in 48.
So you weren't with her then?
No, but we're still in New York.
What was she doing in Israel?
She was almost never in New York, because she was all over the world.
Who raised you in New York?
Oh, okay. My mother, when she went to a concentration camp, not as, and she went through the camps, and there were all these people, I mean, horrible. And she looked at this woman sitting on the ground, and she said, "What's your name?" And she said, "Simone." I said, "Simone, you want to go back to America with me? You could be a nanny." And she became our nanny. I said to her, "What is this number you got there?"
What concentration camp was your mother in? You don't know. Did you talk to her about these things, or apparently?
Well, it never got so far. I mean, this woman came. I only knew about her later when I asked her what the number on her arm was, and she told me it was her phone number.
Right. Of course.
But then, little by little, she told us that story, and listen to this. She swore that she would never be Jewish again after what she went through, and she would never marry anybody Jewish or raise her children Jewish. This girl that my mother, Simone, she married an Orthodox rabbi.
She did.
Sei gesund.
What was your mother doing in Israel? Do you know what she was doing there specifically?
Besides raising the money and making connections so that she could go back to America and speak. I wanted to show you a picture.
We'll get to it in a sec.
Yeah. What she was doing in Israel No, I don't know. I can't say. I'm sure she told me because every time I went to Israel with her, oh, I know these people. I know everybody. She knew everybody.
She was a macher.
Yes, big time.
She was a macher, and she was raising money, and
she was so well known.
Do you know something that some building or something specific that she helped raise money for that was like a project of hers?
No, because it all went to UJA.
It all went to UJA. Okay. What I suggest we do now is we go to the table, and we look at some pictures, and you explain to me.
Okay. After you finish off, I'll ask you a question.
Sure.